There are 54 countries that make up the African continent, and what comes to mind when we think of many of these countries is civil unrest, dictatorship, poverty, and uncontrollable corruption. While the reality on the ground can be very different from this image popularised by Western media, one thing remains painfully true. Corruption has gained a foothold in many of these countries, and in some, like Kenya, the forces of good are facing an uphill task in beating back the forces of evil, determined to hold an entire country hostage to the desires of the few. In Kenya, a popular saying has cropped up. In Kenya, the country does not have a mafia, the mafia have a country. With judges implicated in murder for hire and drug smuggling networks, it is easy to understand why public faith in the judiciary has fallen. Efforts by the executive and legislative branches of the government to eliminate corruption and fight the hidden mafia have resulted in unintended casualties and an empowered class of the corrupt. Figures such as Jimmy Wanjigi, who has been implicated in over $30 million in corrupt dealings, have managed to buy their freedom from prosecution and now hire court orders to harass commissioners of police and the top investigative officer in the country. The war on tax evaders and money launderers has similarly been turned on its head, with the tax collection body, KRA, watching helplessly as serial tax dodgers are handed get-out-of-jail-free cards by corrupt judges. Under the leadership of Commissioner General James Mburu, KRA was able to uncover over $3 trillion in untaxed income belonging to a cartel of Kenyans who own and operate mega businesses either directly or through family members or associates. The biggest culprits include Haran Mwau and Humphrey Kariuki, billionaires whose source of income cannot be clearly established, but whose past is connected to drug smuggling and illegal mineral trade across Africa. Trouble began in early 2019 when a business co-owned by Kariuki and Mwau, Africa Spirits Limited, was flagged for not paying the appropriate taxes it owed. Despite being an alcoholic beverage producer, the company had bribed a tax official so that the tax they paid applied to soft drinks and juices, which was considerably lower. This meant that at the time of discovery, the company owed $4 million in unpaid taxes. A closer look into the business highlighted other areas of concern for investigators. Several other businesses, owned or operated on behalf of Mr. Mwau, were also not paying tax or indicating signs of being part of a money laundering scheme. The two foremost contenders were the Westgate Mall and Kingsway Tyres. Westgate Mall is a luxury shopping mall catering to high-end residents and operated on behalf of Mr. Mwau by an Israeli national, Alex Trachtenberg, and members of Mwau's family. Kingsway Tyres is owned by the Shah family, Sanjay, Manish and Minoj, who also part-own the Village Market Mall. Other registered owners of Village Market Mall include Charterhouse Bank and Haran Mwau. In uncovering the tax evasion by Mr. Mwau, the tax collected descended down a rabbit hole that revealed one sobering truth. The amount of wealth accumulated by Mr. Mwau and Mr. Kariuki could not be explained through their business alone. Something else was contributing to the millions being laundered through Charterhouse Bank, the malls, and Kingsway Tyres. The answer came in the form of two Iranians, Meraz and Hamid Esani, the directors of Charterhouse Bank. In the late 90s, the US government had investigated Mr. Mwau on suspicion of smuggling drugs from Iran into the US through several African ports. At the time, Mr. Mwau was a member of parliament in Kenya and could not be extradited to stand trial in the US, as he was protected by influential figures from the executive to the judicial branches of government. Frustrated, the US State Department banned Mr. Mwau from travelling into the US, along with others involved in his illegal activities. The renewed investigations into Mr. Mwau's wealth and tax evasion threatens to once and for all uncover his true connection to the international illegal drug trade and the true source of his wealth. Mr. Kariuki, on his part, has been involved in illegal mineral smuggling from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia, acting as a middleman for the black market dealers accused of robbing Africa dry of her natural resources. Unfortunately for the war on corruption, These two individuals, and others like them, have money at their disposal, and a Kenyan judiciary seemingly eager to accept bribes in exchange for favours. 28 separate court rulings have barred KRA from collecting unpaid tax dues, and 6 court orders have forced the release of tax cheats and recovered assets. As the term of one administration nears an end, the Mafia have begun searching for a favourable presidential candidate who will secure their hold on crime for a future 10 years. Under the current president, the war on tax evasion and corruption has received new spirit, with new leaders appointed and empowered to recover what was lost from public coffers. But as the political heat increases, the Mafia has put its support behind their candidate of choice, William Ruto, a man implicated in corruption, murder, betrayal and torture of his political opponents. Should their candidate win, then the Mafia in Kenya will really own the country, and the brief hope ignited in the last 9 years will be extinguished for another generation.